Edge and Node, and welcome to another episode of Graph Builders Office Hours. Today, we have a special guest, James Hall. A lot of you might know of the name of James Hall. He's been in the Edge and Node ecosystem for years now, and here he is today with Graph Builders Office Hours. Welcome to Office Hours, James. How are you doing? How is your day going?
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here. Day's going great so far.
Awesome, awesome. Where are you calling from? Where is home base for you?
I live in Utah on the
Utah,
mountains.
Utah. I back of my mind knew that. I know we've talked about that in the past. For the audience listening, James has been working hard as the PM for AMP for a while now, and at this point, I mean, pretty much since inception. And now James is here today to really just talk AMP and share what that process has been like. But before we get into that, I want to back up a little bit. James, when did you come into the Edge and Node team, and how has that process kind of helped you get started and really shaping AMP for what it is becoming?
Yeah, so I joined Edge and Node almost 5 years ago now. And I started as a UX designer in the design team. Spent a little while as the design manager as well. And then about a year ago, as AMP was starting to take shape, I pivoted over to become the product manager, specifically focusing on the sort of user facing interface sides of AMP.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, you asked how it's prepared me. I spent a lot of time kind of speaking with people who used subgraphs and trying to figure out how to streamline the subgraph use cases. Worked on Studio and Explorer, some of the
mm,
graph products, and over time was able to develop kind of an understanding of some of the shortcomings of subgraphs. They're really great for very specific applications, but they're not generally applicable to every use case. So when AMP came along, I was really excited to kind of jump over and work on something that's a little bit more broadly applicable and
mm-hmm.
not quite as niche as subgraphs.
Yep, I feel similar. I got brought on. I'm almost at my third year now,
Cool.
and I'm the subgraph dude. They said, "Hey, we need to get subgraphs out there in the market, talk subgraphs, get them out there." And it is an incredible product, and it is one thing. Love subgraphs to death. The flexibility of them are wonderful if you want one thing. And to then now find AMP and essentially shoot at a lower level and really get to see all the different expressions of it has been a joy for me personally. It sounds like it's been similar for you as well. So that's really fun to hear. The uh, building of AMP, I remember a while ago we were at an offsite and we were talking about it. This is before we could even talk about it in public. Everyone's like, "What the heck is this?" It had a code name. What is this going? Like, what? How are we building this? What is this thing? I didn't know because I wasn't in the engineering squad. And now to see it come to fruition, what's that been like for you to see something that was so heavily research based to then actually getting out there and getting feedback? What's that been like?
Oh, it's been awesome. The core AMP team has been working really hard for over a year,
Mm,
building out the infrastructure and the data ecosystem to make AMP possible. So I think it's been really fun to cheer them on as they've made such great progress, and
yeah.
especially as we got to roll it out at DevConnect last year,
Yeah.
seeing people
Yeah.
get hands on,
Yep.
having them ask questions
Yep.
and
Yep.
raise ideas or issues that we hadn't thought about was
Hmm.
great because my as my background is in UX design.
Hmm.
I don't believe we have all of the answers, and that we get those
Hmm.
answers by learning and speaking with users and
Yeah.
understanding their use cases better. So now that it's more available, it's been great to be able to get some feedback and to understand what we've done well and where we can continue to improve and refine.
Yeah, that feels like it tracks very much. Your team has been essentially diving in, talking with people. I know internally we're talking with teams out there all the time. The team that you mentioned, most of the team, if I'm not mistaken, are the same team members that were working on subgraphs, working on essentially the indexing stack that the graph is known for. Is that the case? A lot of the engineers are,
Hmm.
their learnings from the graph as a whole is now shifting into learnings that they're deploying with AMP. Is that the case?
Yeah, definitely. I think
Yeah.
some of the things that were very difficult to solve with subgraphs and would have been challenging to evolve subgraphs to actually address those use cases. I think that many of the engineers have been sitting on those frustrations for many years, and
Sure,
they're
sure,
just
sure.
stoked to be able to have a new mindset and a new approach around how we can address
Yeah.
making those much more performant and broadly applicable to many more data use cases.
Yeah, evolving from subgraphs has been a theme. I've been talking with a few other engineers on the team, and that's been the case where the discomfort of the user in using subgraphs, we're finding their limitations was just natural. Like they were meant to do one thing very well. And of course, features were added, and of course, Graph Node is now an absolute beast. Subgraphs still were with those limitations by design. That was entirely their scope. And it feels like AMP. It's this is for me personally. AMP is like almost a subgraph 2.0. I'm saying almost just to be generalist in this, but it feels like the same team is working on solving the problems in the best way that they know how with a new iteration of the architecture. And that's something I want to applaud you and the whole team for. It's really been nice to see the discomforts of the subgraph builders, which really are subgraphs are still applicable today for so many use cases just because they do what they do so well. But those edge cases are now being directly solved by you and your team, which is really exciting. So applaud to you and your team. The
Thanks.
the launch that came out a few weeks back, this was at Dev Connect. That came out. What was that like for you personally to have that occur at Dev Connect? What was that feeling like to say, okay, this is what the team has been working on for a year? Was that stressful? Was that exciting? Was that all the above? What was that like?
It was a little stressful, but very rewarding.
Yeah.
Leading up to Dev Connect, of course, before any release or launch, there's that big push at the end to make sure that we cross the finish line in the way that we want. So there were several hours with a bunch of engineers on site in Argentina that
Yep.
were just hustling to polish things and just clean up some of the stuff that wasn't quite ready for showtime. And they did a great job. They worked super hard. And then to have Sebastian, our CTO, get up on stage and talk about it felt super rewarding.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fun to see him. A lot of what AMP has become was inspired through his leadership and vision as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, super cool. And Dev Connect is an overwhelming experience generally. There's just so much happening there.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of interesting new releases and lots of very talented folks that are gathering to try and propel the Web3 industry forward, which
Yeah.
I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
Um, it does make for some noise that we needed to filter as well.
Hmm.
When we had the hackathon, that was for me the highlight, like being able to sit down with some of the hackers
Yep.
at the ETH Global Hackathon at DevConnect that had just used AMP for that, like, what is it? I don't know, 50 hours of crunch
Hmm.
mode and get feedback from them was awesome because we've been waiting to reveal this and then to actually be able to sit down with some users and get feedback was super great.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree. After being in the event space for almost 4 years now, before I was with EdgeNode, I was with another startup, and it was still events. It is chaotic, and to actually find signal is it's a gut feeling after a while. It's difficult, but it is an important role to get out there and see what it's like to jump into the fray and talk with people and just bring in different perspectives. I thought that was a really healthy way to make a splash. And regardless of are we at the perfect conference? Are we at the best moment? No, we're just getting it out there, and we're getting it out there. And I saw you and the team and Sebastian and who you mentioned, they were digging hard the whole time. So it was really fun to see. So since then, it's been a few months. What has that been like? Of course, talked about feedback. I'm sure reflection has occurred. What's that been like for you as PM with AMP from DevConnect and then into today? We won't talk about the future right now, but just in those few weeks, few months that have been between a few weeks, few months past to just today.
Yeah. I've had a great time. Leading up to DevConnect, we were mostly focused on getting the local dev experience locked down and making sure that
Mm-hmm.
the AMP infrastructure was performant and was going to accomplish what it needed to. Uh, and because of that, we were kind of putting some of the more user-facing UI platform pieces on hold.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew that after DevConnect, we would circle back and revisit those. So that's where I feel like I can contribute the most and
Mm-hmm.
where I get the most excited about building AMP is taking a lot of that really amazing core technology, but then uh, putting uh, some skin on top of that skeleton and being
Sure.
able to make it a little bit more approachable for users. One long-term shortcoming of subgraphs is that we never really saw a lot of reuse of subgraphs.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't great for the graph ecosystem. We thought initially the thesis was people will be able to leverage other existing subgraphs, and then we get that compounding sort of network effect of community building great subgraphs and then other people benefiting. We're really focused on that with AMP
Mm-hmm.
and with the platform that we're building. So some of the things we've been working on over the last couple months or so, we've been really focused on data set cataloging and
Mm-hmm.
discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So we did have the dataset registry already shipped for
And
DevConnect.
real quick,
Yeah.
backing up, just to
Mhm.
define for viewers, what is a data set and the registry and why that's important. I just want to really hit the nail on that one.
Mhm. Yeah, so data sets are in some ways a similar concept to subgraphs, but also a lot more broad and flexible. Um, though, and I'll do my best with the technical description, keeping in mind that I am not one of the engineers that built this. Uh, so what we do with AMP is we index raw data sets off of the blockchains that we support. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a root level data set. So it's got all of the logs and transaction data for a specific chain. Right now we're supporting ETH and Arbitrum and Base, and getting close with some other chains. You said not talking about the future yet, so we won't get into those right now. But
Soon, very soon.
yes, yes. So you get that raw layer of blockchain data, and then you can build new opinionated views of that raw data set, and start to strip out the bits that you don't need and really focus on the data that's important to you. And you would define a new data set that contains just the data that's important for your use case.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone could come along and build on top of the data set you built because they even need less of the data. So it
Yep.
can like slowly filter into these very tailored, highly specific data schemas that
Mm-hmm.
don't contain all data from the blockchain. It only is narrowly focused on the data specific to a need or a use case. And we think that because of that structure, like people will be able to reuse some of those intermediate layers of data that we're calling data sets. So data sets are like the schemas and the entities like all bundled into a specific thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
we can register that thing in the dataset registry, and then you can search for it and then dive in similar to a subgraph and like send test queries and understand the data that's available within a data set. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah,
Great
it's using data
explanation. Great
fusion.
explanation right there. Great explanation. I thought that was A plus.
Okay,
It's
great,
it's
thanks.
it's I find as an educator in tech when there's new technology that's truly bleeding edge, it's sometimes foggy to even put words to it. It's like this is not even a construct and we're creating that. How do you tell that story? And I thought you nailed it right there. That is a good way to describe a data set.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of back to what we've been working on. We've been working on the the registry, enhancing that a little bit, and then building a UI to navigate and explore data sets.
Mhm.
So you can search for data sets. Once you find a data set that looks interesting, you can go in and send queries in a playground, test it out, make sure that it has the data that you're expecting. Um, because data sets are layered and have kind of a hierarchy, there's also a lineage feature. So you
Mm-hmm.
can see, okay, this is the data set I'm interacting with, but where did its data come from? And you can see the ancestors of that data set and
Mm-hmm.
go and jump to that level and experiment. So it becomes much more flexible than like, here's a finite, rigid subgraph, but you
Mm-hmm.
can move up and down this tree and find the right data set level to interact with and pull your data from.
That's very
Um,
cool. Very cool.
yeah.
Very cool. The features. Let's talk about the features of AMP that you've been working on, you and the team. And also, let's talk about what's coming up. I saw in the AMP repository there were a lot of new docs just pushed yesterday. So shout out to Lorenzo, who I saw was doing a lot of those pushes. That helps me as someone getting this information out there. And I saw a list of things that I think if any engineer is listening, go check those out. Are there any for you, James, that you're excited for specific to AMP now and moving forward in terms of the features of what it can do?
Yeah, I think kind of back to what I was mentioning, what we've been working on. Very excited to build this dataset library and catalog. Really, we're focused on an improved discovery experience over subgraphs.
Mm-hmm.
The Graph Explorer listed all of the subgraphs, and you could do some interaction with them, but it didn't have the most robust discovery feature. So we're really honing in on that. And then I'm excited to refine that playground experience
Mm-hmm.
as you start to kick the tires on a data set and send some queries. What's the best way to view that data? How do you want to interact with that data to really validate that it solves the data needs that you have? And then over time, we'll look at building out different ways of just delivering that data and consuming the data.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of some of that we have built obviously SQL delivery, so you can use SQL queries and get data there. But we're still working on getting some market validation on what the most important and preferred ways of consuming data will be.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, James, it's been awesome having you on an episode of Builders Office Hours. I appreciate your time. I know you are very busy with everything. Is there anything in terms of a request or a call to action, if you will, that you can give any viewer here who's an engineer or even non-engineers? If there's anything that they can do to dive into the AMP space, what would you like them to do?
Yeah, I think if you have feedback, please throw it in Discord. Help us learn from your insights as well. That we definitely know that we don't have all the answers, that we're trying to build and validate as we go, and that requires experimentation, and some of our experiments will succeed and some will fail. So just join us on that building journey.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for your time. This has been another episode of Graphic Builders Office Hours. I've been Marcus. That's been James. And enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I'll see you here next week. Take care, everyone.